Well, as we've learned in recent weeks, Republican frontrunner Newt Gingrich used his post-government years to make some serious cash. Just how much? Where did it come from? Domenico Montanaro is NBC News political reporter. You've looked at these financial disclosures. Yeah. There's a lot we learned, and there's a lot of, but also a lot of things you can't figure out. Right. Domenico, take it away, buddy.
A lot that is left out. Well, one of the more remarkable institutions that has been grown over the last 10 years here in Washington, D.C., commonly known as Newt Inc. by many of us, is Newt Inc. But we're not quite sure where this money comes from or where the money goes. With being a frontrunner comes scrutiny, and for Newt Gingrich, just how he makes his money is getting a fresh look. Gingrich's financial disclosure shows the former House Speaker is worth at least $7.1 million. The vast majority came from a group of companies that bear his name. He has between a $5 million and $25 million stake in the Gingrich Group, which launched his Center for Health Transformation think tank. There's also Gingrich Communications, run by daughter Kathy, who's also a senior advisor to his campaign, and Gingrich Productions, run by his wife Callista, that produces the documentaries and books the Gingriches promote on the campaign trail. The family ties don't end there. His second largest source of income is $72,000 from the Lubbers Agency, a talent agency also run by daughter Kathy. And there are questions of transparency. Despite being listed as a top official with each of the companies, Gingrich only reports getting money from one, Gingrich Productions, for $2.5 million. Why? His campaign says before launching his run for president, he folded Gingrich Communications into Gingrich Productions. Gingrich was a Fox News contributor, but lists no income from that role, nor does he list any income from his time at a conservative think tank in Washington, nor any of the advisory boards he sat on. And despite Gingrich's recent boasting about his speeches,
I was charging $60,000 a speech. And the number of speeches was going up, not down.
He doesn't list any of that money either. The Gingrich campaign contends none of the money was paid directly to Gingrich, but rather to Gingrich Communications.
In a sense, I mean, it meets the letter of the law for transparency. You're supposed to disclose who you work for, but it's really not the spirit of transparency because we don't know who those organizations are getting money from, who are their clients, who's paying him for speaking fees, who's paying him for consulting.
In other words, there's no way to tell exactly how much he got or from whom. But one thing is certain, when it comes to business, Gingrich keeps it all in the family. Well, we know that Gingrich made between $2.6 and $2.8 million in the last year and a half, according to the financial disclosure. $2.5 million of the money came from Newt Inc., but it's not itemized, so we don't know where it comes from, Chuck.
And if he never actually personally earned that, he may have been able to actually file a lower tax rate. I mean, there's some questions that we have. We're trying to figure out, did he pay his income tax rate via an S corp, which of course would mean a much lower tax rate than even the fairly low tax rate.
We know he did
that
pay.
The wealthy have now.
He got dividends from as an S corp distributive share, but that's common for a lot of small businesses.
It's all part of the tax law that a lot of people are saying it's why you can't do income tax, personal and the corporate separately. You have to do it together because a lot of people do it this way.
And we know that with these book signings, that they've done about a dozen of them since October, and they're going to be doing another one here in Washington Friday.
We'll be taking a look. Domenico Montanaro, very interesting stuff. Well, call it coffee, croissant.